I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. Those of you who've been watching for a while, I've talked about it before. My first job I got when I was 14, and I've pretty much worked ever since. And mostly customer service. Whether it was restaurants or retail, got a lot of experience in customer service. And working in customer service means that more than likely, you're going to work on holidays. Like most holidays in retail or restaurants, you're not off. Like they don't let you off for 4th of July, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Halloween. I've heard there's a couple of states where people get the day off for Easter because those states recognize it as a national holiday, but I've never been off for Easter. If you're from one of those states, go ahead, let me know in the comments section. But most retail or restaurants let people off for 2 different holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas. Thanksgiving, not as much. That depends on the company. It's hit or miss, but most of them only half day. Christmas, most places let people off. Most. Working in retail and restaurants, I've had to work on Christmas before. It sucks. I've also had to work many Thanksgivings. I'll get into that story next year. I will say this, there's only been 3 different companies that I did have to work Christmas. One was when I worked at a gas station. There was a restaurant I worked at where I had to work on Christmas. And there was a pharmacy where 1 out of the 3 years that I worked there, I had to work on Christmas. Other places that are open, like most movie theaters are open on Christmas. And living out here in Nevada, pretty much every casino is open on Christmas. But I will say this, the movie theater is the only place I've ever seen on Christmas that looks like it's actually worth being open on Christmas. Like one year, a long time ago, when I was still single, my roommate and I, neither of us had family to go spend Christmas with. His mom was gone, he only had his dad, and he didn't want to spend the day with him and his step-family because they didn't get along. I didn't have any family to spend the day with. So we decided, let's go see a movie. Couldn't decide which movie we wanted to see, so we actually ended up seeing 2 movies in one day. We saw one, went to a Mexican fast food place that we love that was open, went back and saw another movie. It was a nice day, and I will say the movie theater looked like it was doing enough business to be open. Wouldn't say it was like packed or anything, but it was doing business. Until then was kind of weird, because I never even thought of the concept of going to see a movie on Christmas. However, casinos, back in my single days, nobody to spend Christmas with, nothing to do, wanted to go out and get something to eat. Casino restaurants are open. Been to several casinos on Christmas, never seen one that was busy. Like, I'm sure they were making some money because there's a few people in there gambling their life away, but that's the only way I think they're making any profit that day. The 3 places that I was forced to work, none of them, I will say, made enough money to even so much as cover me being there all day. The first one I'll get into is the gas station. Now, I understand why the gas station is open. People are traveling on Christmas. They need gas. Plus, sometimes I get it. It's not about necessarily making money today, but building a rapport with your customers so you make money tomorrow. Get it. But it was pretty dead. Like, because it was Christmas, they had limited staff, which meant I was alone until the last 30 minutes of my shift when the next person came in to take over. Now, I will say the gas station, it was a very slow day, but I won't say it was completely dead. I didn't complain that I didn't have any help because I didn't need it. Like, the biggest rush I had that day was when I had to hold 2 customers in the store at once. But people did come in because people do run out of things, they need stuff, and pretty much the only thing that's going to be open is a gas station. Which made me realize something I found a little humorous. The one thing on both Christmas and Thanksgiving I had worked that year that I noticed we sold more than we ever do any other day was milk. Because working at a gas station, you have milk, but you don't sell it very much. Like, let me put it this way. We had a very small section of milk, and we would get very small deliveries, but we never ran out. Now, by us selling more milk than we normally sell on Christmas or Thanksgiving, I will say it was still not a lot. It wasn't like they came in droves. Meant 4 or 5 gallons. But that is a lot, considering you sell like a gallon or 2 once a week. And we all know why, because it's ridiculously overpriced. But again, Christmas or Thanksgiving, that could be your only option. And for some reason, Christmas and Thanksgiving, that is the one thing we all run out of is milk. No matter how hard we try to plan to not run out of milk. We could buy a gallon of milk and write, "Don't touch," for Christmas on it, and yet somehow Christmas morning comes and we have that much left in the gallon that we have to spread out through like 4 different recipes we're going to make that day. But it was funny to me that on both Christmas and Thanksgiving, how many people came in, and of course they always had to ask, "Do you guys have milk?" No. You found the one convenience store that doesn't have milk. Of course we have milk. That's what convenience stores are known for. The three things that they all have: cigarettes, booze, overpriced milk. Like seriously, I've been to convenience stores where they didn't have fresh coffee. Seems like a staple at every one, but not everyone actually has it. I even went to a convenience store that surprisingly had no Pepsi products. I wanted a Code Red. They didn't have any. I've been to ones that have sports drinks but not Gatorade. But the three things they all have: cigarettes, booze, and overpriced milk. The overpriced milk just sits there. Most of it goes bad. Because the only people who buy that normally are the once-in-a-blue moon person who's just too tired, doesn't want to go all the way to the store, or is just straight too lazy to go all the way to the store, so they'll come over here and pay double. But of course, I never insulted the people when they asked it. I just said, yes, it's over there. And then it was funny because the next question I would get when they went over there, every single time, would be, is this the only milk that you guys have? And I know why they're asking that. Because they don't normally buy milk here. They just don't have another choice. And they're hoping for a Christmas miracle. But no, we don't. We have a very small section, and you see right next to it, we start getting into the Gatorades and stuff. We did not put the cheaper milk at the other end of the fridge. Because I can see in their face, that's what they're hoping for. That there's some cheaper milk over there. So that they don't have to spend $7 on one frickin' gallon. But, sorry, that is what you gotta do. Spend $7 on a frickin' gallon. The only thing cheaper are the ones that are basically just a drink of milk. But that's it. Sorry. That small section of non-generic milk, and it only comes in two different types. Red cap, dark blue cap. You want that water that passes itself off as milk, you gotta go to the store. Then there was the time I had to work on Christmas at a restaurant. Now, again, I wouldn't say it was worth being open, but again, I get why. Because, again, there are people traveling, people who, like me at the time, for the reason I couldn't put up a fight and say, no, I don't want to work on Christmas, they have nobody to spend it with. Neither did I that year. So again, it was about building a rapport so they'll come back later. But I really don't have anything to say about that day because of, again, how dead it was. I was there pretty much all day, by myself. I did okay in money because even though I didn't have that many customers, they were pretty generous because it was Christmas. And the only customers I had was a couple of people who clearly didn't have anything to do on Christmas, and a couple of truckers who were working on Christmas just like me and just needed a place to eat. Didn't get any of those fun stories you see on those Christmas specials where it's a family going to eat out because dad blew up the kitchen. That's really all I had to say about working at a restaurant. Is I sat there, waited on the few people that came in, got decent tips. That was it. The worst experience, though, was having to work at that pharmacy. Because I worked there for almost 3 years. I said 3 years earlier, but close enough. A few months shy of 3 years. But because of when I started, I ended up working 3 Christmases, 3 Thanksgivings. All 3 years we were open on Thanksgiving, but only half day. Which for me meant a full day, but just meant only one shift. But Christmas, the first 2 years, we were not open. Because that was smart. The third year, we had an acting store manager. Because our real store manager, she had just had a baby, she was on paternity leave. This acting store manager was an assistant manager somewhere else, and was desperately trying to impress the powers that be so he could become a full-fledged store manager somewhere. Like, he was a decent guy. I had nothing against him except the fact that he was a ridiculous suck-up. And one way he tried to show his worth was he pushed to have us open on Christmas, saying, "It'll give us an edge because we'll be the only place open on Christmas." And I tried to talk him out of it when he was talking to us about the concept of being open on Christmas. And I mentioned, dude, it doesn't matter. As somebody who's worked at a gas station on Christmas, people don't really go out to buy stuff on Christmas. The only thing they really go out for is little things like they needed milk, maybe some other little thing like maybe they're looking for stuffing or cranberry sauce or something like that. But for the most part, milk is the main thing, and there are gas stations that are open. There's like 4 in this town. They're all going to be open. They're probably not even going to know we're open. They'll just go there. But he wasn't listening. The flaw in his brilliant plan, though, was he wanted the pharmacy itself to be open. But that wasn't going to happen. See, working at a pharmacy, people wonder, like, how does the non-pharmacy part, the general merchandise part, make any money? Yeah, they move product, but not that fast, and it's never as busy as the pharmacy. How does that part of the store make money? The answer is they don't. Whether it's like a Rite Aid or a CVS or a Walgreens, that general merchandise part of the store makes nothing. The only thing corporate is hoping out of them is that they'll make somewhat close to the cost of having that part there. However, the store itself does make money off the pharmacy. Like, if you've ever had the pharmacist sit down and explain to you exactly how cheap those medicines you are buying are, despite the fact that you're paying ridiculous amounts for them, it will infuriate you. Like, I'm not going to get into it here, but let me put it this way. You think you're getting a deal because your insurance cut it down to where that entire bottle only costs you $4? It probably cost them less than 25 cents to make that entire bottle. However, the pharmacist refused. Now, some of you may be asking, like, but doesn't the pharmacist answer to the store manager? Sort of. They technically do, but the pharmacist can get away with whatever they want. Like, it's one thing that you being the part of the general area makes you just a little bit jealous of the pharmacy itself. They're closed for pretty much every holiday. They are closed all day Thanksgiving. They are closed for Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Easter, 4th of July. Frick, I'm pretty sure they're even closed on Arbor Day. You're not. This manager tried to get the pharmacy to stay open, be open on Christmas, because that would give him an edge, that would help them make money. Because even he knew this part of the store didn't make money, that part did. The pharmacist had a fit at even the suggestion. The pharmacist called our district manager, complained, threw a fit, and the district manager wants to keep them happy because, believe it or not, the store managers, I went through a couple of them in that 3 years. Like the one that was on paternity leave, she came back for a couple of months and then decided she wanted to just be a stay-at-home mom, and she left, and we got another one. The one before her did some really stupid crap and got herself fired. And plus, we had this acting store manager for a little while. Pharmacist, there was only 2 actual pharmacists, and they were there from the time I got there till I left. Years later, I keep in touch with a couple of people I used to work with. They said when they left, a couple of years later, one of the pharmacists was still there. The older one, he retired. The actual pharmacist, that is an actual trade that company actually needs. They have a lot more pull than the store manager does, and they make a whole lot more money. So our district manager okayed it, said, fine, if you really think we can make some money, we'll be open on Christmas, half day. The pharmacy will not be. The store manager didn't think, let's just have limited staff. It was just, by the way, if you're normally working that day, you're going to be working that day. So there were 3 of us, plus the store manager, there that half day on Christmas. What made this a little bit more aggravating for me was earlier that month, I got married. So my wife and I, this was our first Christmas, and we didn't get to spend it together. Granted, we weren't planning to do anything spectacular. Like I said, we'd gotten married earlier that month, so we did not have any money to do anything. The wedding kind of took it all up. But would have still been nice to have gotten to spend my whole day with my wife. But instead, I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning so I could be at that store by 7 o'clock in the morning and pretty much do nothing all day. Like the normal stuff I would do in between helping customers that day was done in a couple of hours. Because you'd be surprised how quickly you can get stuff done when there are no customers. The gas station and even the restaurant, I can't tell you exactly how many customers we had. It wasn't busy, but it wasn't so slow that I could count them all. I can count how many customers came into that pharmacy on Christmas. 4. And one of them came in, saw the pharmacy wasn't open too, and left. So we only did 3 transactions that day. And yes, in case you're wondering, all 3 of them, among the few other things they bought, got milk. We did a total sales that day of $44.37. I don't normally memorize the sales of the day, but that one, after counting out my drawer, it wasn't that difficult to remember. We spent most of the day looking for stuff to do or just talking amongst the 3 of us about how stupid this was. We didn't even actually spend the entire half day there. We were supposed to be there until 4 o'clock. Somewhere around 2:30, the acting store manager finally walked up and said, guys, it's dead. Let's just call it and go home. Sure, why not? We've made more than a full day's wages anyways, because that company gave us holiday pay. We wanted to get out of there. We wanted to go home. I wanted to go spend what I had left of my Christmas with my brand new wife. And in case you're wondering, no, this guy did not get promoted when the store manager came back. But there's a point in all this rambling. There is one thing I will say sucks the most about working on Christmas. Is how often we hear two things. The first one we hear all frickin' day from the few customers we have, including, yes, the 3 customers at that pharmacy that actually bought something, was the first thing we have to hear is this. Hey, thanks for being open today. People, stop thanking them for being open. I get what you're doing. You're trying to be nice because you know that they're working on Christmas and that sucks, but you're not making them feel better. Every one of us has the same reaction in our head, which is, you think this was my decision? You think I decided to be open that day? I will say this, at the pharmacy, I did say, don't thank me, that was his brilliant idea. But at the gas station and the restaurant, of course all I said was you're welcome, but in my head I'm sitting there thinking like, shut up. I didn't want to be here. Even though when I was working at the gas station and the restaurant, I had nobody to spend Christmas with anyways, I still didn't want to be here. Feeling even more alone on Christmas because I'm so alone that I have no excuse not to be working. And even the day at the pharmacy, the 3 customers saying that was irritating me. I had somebody to go spend Christmas with, but I wasn't allowed to go spend Christmas with them. I had to be here for nothing. The second thing we hate hearing, which again we hear from almost every customer we get on those days, is, man, it sucks that you gotta work on Christmas. Then go away. Like, you realize you're the reason we're working right now. Now, granted, I know that we would still be open even if this person didn't come in, but still, if people would just stop going out on Christmas completely, then every business would start closing because there would be no point. They know they would just lose money versus some businesses being delusional enough to think they're going to make some money. And I've asked people who've worked at casinos and who've worked at movie theaters, they get the same thing, and they hate it just the same. Even though the movie theater, like I said, there is a point for them to be there. They're actually making some money. But they're still not happy about the fact that they got to be there on Christmas. They'd rather be home, watching a movie on a television set with their families. Or even if they don't have a family, they'd rather be home, not being surrounded by a bunch of happy people, which makes you feel even worse. So my only point of this rant is, if you have to go somewhere where somebody's working on Christmas, get your stuff, get out, be quiet. So there you have it. That's my story video this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post the videos, and leave a comment. If you've ever had to work on Christmas, give me some of your Christmas working stories. Love you guys.